Huge news this week coming out of Fightful.com via Sean Ross Sapp. Breaking the news that Cody Rhodes has officially parted ways with AEW. Check out this clip.
It is February 15th, 2022. This is Fightful Wrestling, and this is a breaking news show. Cody Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes have left WWE, or left AEW rather. Man, I got so far ahead of myself. They left AEW, have been in talks with WWE. We broke the story on FightfulSelect.com, and minutes later, Cody Rhodes, Brandi Rhodes, AEW, Tony Khan all confirmed the news. Whew.
Oh man, the first big defection from AEW. This is a juicy topic. So much speculation going on as to why Cody's leaving AEW, where Cody's going to be going from AEW. I've heard he's going to go to the NWA and have a run with his buddy Matt Cardona, and they're going to be the two-man power trip of NWA and just elevate the company to the next level. I've heard that he's going to go in and buy Ring of Honor. Imagine that. Moneybags Cody Rhodes, right? The $1 million man, multi-million-dollar man, Cody Rhodes, as we all know him to be. Just balling, dropping money everywhere he goes, right? To buy an entire wrestling company. He's going to buy Ring of Honor and start another new wrestling promotion. We've heard he could go back to New Japan or make any other number of random indie dates. We even heard that he may just be going to Hollywood, that he's done with the wrestling. He's been talking about this forever. He's only got a couple years left in his wrestling, and he wants to go off and do movies and stuff like that. You know, we've always heard his entire career. Dusty talked about it in his book before Cody even became a wrestler, that Cody wanted to be an actor. So, you know, you got Rhodes to the top. You got the Big Show, the Go Big Show. Well, it's the Go Big Show. You got all these options for Cody Rhodes. But I'm going to tell you right now, and if I'm wrong, I will pull my sock off my foot and I will eat it as is, covered in cat hair and lint and dust and floor debris. Little shreds of cheese from my shredded cheese that I like to sprinkle on top of things. Don't judge my socks, all right? We're not here to talk about my feet. We're here to talk about Cody Rhodes. There's only one place that Cody's going, folks. He's going to WWE. Of course he's going to WWE. What on earth could compel a guy like Cody Rhodes in a position as he sat at AEW? You seen him. He was at the table at Gorilla, right? At the go position, they call it, right there next to Tony with his headset on. He's had that EVP status, even though we've heard that that's been greatly reduced, if not just, you know, in name only, basically, at this point. EVP, I know. EV Pino. You get what I'm trying to say, right? So, how bad could AEW, I mean, he had this deal with TBS to be on their show. He had this deal with TNT to be on their show. Cody you know, had an office, I believe, as far as we're aware, and what we've heard, he did the community outreach program. You know, we had heard that he was beefing with the other EVPs once upon a time, but even that has seemed to be smoothed over, and by all accounts, they've been getting along great lately as well. But there is some that would say that Cody is a little bit... there's a bit of a divide in the AEW locker room where there are a lot of people that Cody doesn't associate with anymore or at all. Maybe Cody has his clique and then there's other people. But isn't that that's the wrestling business, right? Like, that's just exactly how it's always been. There's cliques, there's the clique, but there's always been cliques and little factions and friend groups backstage, and everybody can't be friends with everybody, right? Even though Jim Cornette calls it all friends wrestling, everybody can't be friends with everybody. But my guess is this: Cody's contract was coming up. And Sean Ross Sapp had said this in his report too, that Cody was thinking CM Punk money. He's thinking, Cody was even heard as saying in interviews, talking about the pay tier system that they have in AEW. And, there's main eventer. And then even above that was Chris Jericho money, as he put it. And I imagine that has carried over to CM Punk, probably Daniel Bryanson. And and rightfully so, by the way. I mean, they're huge gets, and obviously, one could argue they're bigger stars than Cody is, but Cody wanted that kind of money. And apparently, Tony Khan just didn't see it like that. Now, to be that integrated with the company, that you were there, like basically you're a founder of the company, and you are still holding the title of an executive vice president of that company, and you leave. Cody had this high opinion of himself, and probably rightfully, we know Brandi does. Brandi's got a fucking, which, by the way, Brandi's a great talent too. Like, we all hate Brandi, but I think we all kind of love to hate her. I mean, she's got go away heat, but it's like fun to not like her. And she brings it on herself. It's not like she doesn't go out of her way to be as divisive as possible, or abrasive is maybe even the better word. Like this picture she put on Twitter of herself, said she's got boots that says rich AF, rich as fuck. Like, why, other than to just troll people and be a dick, right? So I think it came down to the money, and AEW is a crowded place nowadays. Cody's not exactly the main eventer. He's not exactly lined up to be a main eventer or the champion there anytime soon. And, you could argue as an EVP, it's more his job to help build talent than be the top talent. But Cody's often said in interviews that he's only got a few more years, that he's looking at maybe 40-ish, and he's going to be done. Okay, he's close to that. Whatever contract he's going to sign next, like a 3-year contract, might be his last full-time contract. And Cody is looking to get the absolute maximized value out of his brand, out of himself, out of the work he's put in for himself that he can get right now, because this is the money this is it for him. He's probably not going to be wrestling through his 40s. He doesn't want to anyway. So he's looking to just make as much money off of wrestling right now and maximize his star power, not just for that fat paycheck, but to, and royalties that will come with that and all of that, but to also possibly get those opportunities to be more of a mainstream star, and to be to get the chance to be in movies and things like that. So honestly, I think at the end of the day, Cody probably wanted to stay with AEW. I think his heart is there, but his greed and his ego and his knowing that his career is running short in ring, and Brandi, obviously, I'm sure had a lot to do with this decision, and her greed and her ego. And they went with the money. I think when Cody didn't re-sign because him and Tony were just so far off on where they were willing to be money-wise, I think that's when in Cody was technically a free agent. I think he took that time to see what the other side might offer him. And now he knows what kind of money could be coming from WWE. And we also know that WWE is fickle and there's no job security. And the other Nick Khan, could end up firing Cody or, suggesting more cuts. Cody is not guaranteed a job for the length of time he signs a contract for. But if he is, I'm willing to bet he got offered a big old sack full of monies, as Danhausen would say. A blimp, all of it. To pull a founding member of AEW, to pull a EVP from AEW over to WWE is quite the coup. It's quite the get. It's quite the win for WWE. And it gets eyes looking the other way. And look, folks, this is inevitable, right? It's everybody's going towards everybody's going towards AEW now because it's a new company and WWE's kind of shitty to work for and sucks and all that. But there's going to be plenty of guys that go from AEW to WWE as well. It's new, but, give it a few years. We're going to start to see some shit, right? MJF openly talks about how he's willing to take offers from WWE and go there if the money's right. And the money will be right for anybody that wants to go to WWE. There's going to be some that are AEW loyalists, like Sting always was in his career, and rightfully so. And there's going to be people that are maybe don't think they're quite good enough to make it in WWE or don't think they'll get over or get used as well. I wouldn't expect to see a Darby Allin go to WWE, for example. Based on one of the two or a combination of both. The AEW loyalty, look, they made him a star, and two, he's so damn small. Like, what are they gonna? They're gonna change everything about him and make him wrestle for the cruiserweight title in NXT, like. But guys like MJF, Brian Cage has been itching to get out, I'm assuming. There's going to be more. There's going to be defectors. But Cody's a big one. Cody's a big. I mean, this is shocking. This is big news. And this will be a big win. And mark my words, he's going to WWE. I'll eat my sock on video if he doesn't go to WWE. And as far as Sean Ross Sapp had said, Cody has no non-compete. So he's free to join WWE tomorrow. He can be on Monday Night Raw this Monday if they want him to be. My guess is they will put him into play prior to WrestleMania. Maybe the night after Elimination Chamber, Monday Night Raw. And put him in play for WrestleMania, and it's going to turn the wrestling world on its ass. You could do any number of things. You could put him into a title picture. You could feud him with Roman, or you could feud him with Lashley. You could feud him with Seth. You could do a mixed tag with Seth and Becky versus Brandi and Cody. You could do all kinds of weird things. Cody's going to be around a while. I think he's going to be a big star. And look, I think he's going to do well in WWE. I don't think this is going to be a Stardust thing. It is always possible that they just WWE just buries him, right? But that's going to set a bad example, too, to other talent. Like, good luck getting an MJF or a Wardlow to jump ship over to WWE when you can't point to Cody or anybody else that came over and be like, see, look how big of a star we made. Like, WWE was able to take, in the Attitude Era, they were able to take Chris Jericho and the Radicals, and they were able to make them bigger stars than they were in WCW. I hesitated there because Chris Benoit was their world champion, before he was released. But for all intents and purposes, they were all kind of mid to lower card guys. And WWE elevated them. So they can't just bring in Cody and bury him and then expect to be able to woo anybody over, because everybody knows, and this was the other thing that's going to scare AEW guys from going to WWE, is all the horror stories. I mean, I think any level of wrestling fan that's any bit of a mark and not just there for a paycheck, they're in their heart of hearts, they want that WrestleMania moment. They want to work for WWE. They want to meet Vince McMahon. They want to, you know what I mean? Like, they want that experience. They grew up in WWE. Unfortunately, what we hear from the business side of WWE compared to the mythical fucking magic world that we all live in as fans, where it's all rainbows and unicorns and yay, I'm living my dream, but you realize your dream comes with a dick up the ass when you get to WWE for real. But I think this will be different for Cody. I think he's going to get there, and I think he's going to get put right into the top of the mid to the bottom of the main event. I think within the year, he'll be doing main events. He'll be getting title shots. I don't know if he'll be a champion this year, but I really think they're going to give him the old AJ Styles push, and they're really just going to, when AJ came in, he was given every bit of credibility he walked through the door with. He did have to earn it to a certain extent, but it didn't take long. I mean, he was pretty much a top guy from day one, right? Cody's going to be a top guy from day one. Maybe they bury him towards the end of his contract so that he loses value on going back to AEW, if that's what he wants to do. He had a job for life there. I'm kind of torn on this, because as a wrestling fan, and living through the Attitude Era, it is exciting when you see people jump ship. And when you see Cody Rhodes come out to WWE, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, he might even have the same music. Apparently he owns that music, his entrance music. So, unless WWE wants to be douchebags and they tell him absolutely not, their AEW doesn't legally own that music. So Cody can take that with him and do what he wants with it. See him and Brandi come out, the pop that's going to get, and the promo that he has the ability to cut if they don't script it all the shit, or if he doesn't get interrupted right away and they turn it into some douchebag angle. Let him debut. Let him cut a fucking 10, 15-minute promo. Then if you want to bring out, Seth or Bobby or Lesnar or Roman or whoever he's going to feud with, then you can do that. And I think that's perfect. And then you're off and running, and we'll see where he goes, keep him in your top spots. And I think Cody's going to hold that ground. I think he's going to be in a higher position in WWE, ironically, than he would have been in AEW if he stayed. But ultimately, it's a money thing. And it's a legacy thing, I think, too. No pun intended. Or pun intended, maybe. Just a little bit. Who knows? Cody knows that this is probably going to be his last big run. He may do another run after that, but that might be his run where he's putting everybody else over. These are his prime money-making star power years. And he believes that he makes CM Punk money. Tony Khan didn't see it that way. We love you, dude. We appreciate everything you do. I can't pay you that much money. Cody bet on himself. He said, okay, then. I think I'm going to go see what the E has to offer. The E had a lot to offer, clearly. Otherwise, he would have stayed with AEW. Because he's not going to leave AEW to go fucking dabble in the NWA. Or go fucking... I'm going to be in New Japan Strong all of a sudden. No. And he's not buying Ring of Honor. Cody's going to Cody's going to WWE. He's going to be a WWE superstar. And he's going to do a great job. But I'm torn. Because I want to see that. That pop's going to be great. Look, when we're talking all-time wrestling moments, this is going to be a fucking moment, okay? This is going to be a huge moment. This will be that one that's on DVDs and documentaries and retold over and over, the day that Cody jumped ship and made his debut back on Raw or SmackDown, and the promo that he cuts, it's going to be a beautiful thing. But after that, is it just going to be boring WWE shit again? I think so. I think, it's going to give a good pop for WrestleMania, and it'll carry a little bit of buzz with it for a few months. But I think once the shine wears off after, the first year, and Cody just kind of blends in with everybody else on the WWE roster and becomes just a boring fuck over there, and everything's 50-50, and oh, you got a disqualification, and oh, you got counted out. And, I mean, it's coming. He's not going to change WWE. WWE is not going to magically become this awesome, booked, fun to watch, great promotion just because Cody's there. But we're going to get that moment, and we're going to get that first couple month run, at least the road to WrestleMania run. It's going to be a thing of beauty. It really is. And it's a blow to AEW. So I'm going to enjoy that, but I'm an AEW fan over WWE. WWE did me dirty. They're boring. Their booking sucks. They have beat me into not even wanting to watch their shows. Like, it's bad. It's really bad. And I know there's diehard loyalists that are listening that love WWE and everything. And, like, more power to you, dude. Like, I'm not here to talk you out of it. I want you to like wrestling, and whatever type of wrestling you like. But I was damn near out of wrestling completely. Like, I had gotten to the point where I was just watching the pay-per-views, and then I started not even watching the pay-per-views. I was getting more into, like, what New Japan was doing and, like, anything that was going on outside WWE because it was a little bit more exciting. And then AEW started, and, you can list off any flaws or things you don't like about AEW, but to me, it's been a breath of fresh air. It's kept me in the wrestling game, and I really would have thought Cody was going to be loyal to the end there. I thought he was going to be a lifer. It was the house he helped built. And, obviously, I think unless he's just hated backstage and he's miserable there, I think this is a clear example of just flat out greed. And I don't blame him. I mean, like I said, this is Cody's time to maximize himself and make as much money as he can as Cody Rhodes. This run can set him up for a lifetime. He can get movie deals out of this, bigger name power, name value. His last run with WWE was fucking Stardust, or the fucking dashing Cody Rhodes with a mask and a mustache, and he was scrawny, and he's going back there a way different guy. And he has the ability to really, really set himself up for life, and I think he will. He's going to be an all-timer after this run. But, I mean, it lets me down at the same time, man. Like, I like... It is a wrestling business, but the fact that he was the EVP and he was a founder... He was just so inside the inner workings of everything, and the way he always talked about how he loves it there and all his young kids that he's helping get in there and train and build up, and working with Amanda Huber on the community outreach stuff. Like, to me, it's just flat out greed, and it makes me look down on him just a little bit. A lot of it, to be honest with you, but I understand it, and I'm still excited to see that WrestleMania run. And then after that, we'll see. We'll see what kind of run he has. I honestly think he'll kind of start to blend in after a while and just become another WWE guy, and he'll probably be regretting the creative when it's all said and done, but probably not the paychecks, right? So we'll see. I don't have much more else to say about it, but this is massive, and this is a big game changer in wrestling, and it certainly makes this WrestleMania season very exciting. So let's keep an eye on it and see where things goes. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.